we're live. Let me get my buttons pushed, make sure I'm not muted. Okay. Gak says, still sucks. They sent to a wound doc who scraped the whole top off a new regiment. Ooh. Well, that's not good. Well, hopefully it moves forward. Let's do a QSPX. Crap stock from Friday. Beyond is going nuts. Yeah, that's just hype at this point. I mean, the company itself has been in the crapper for a long time. Great scalp opportunity. Great pre-market trades. You know, today and yesterday both. You know, it's just one of those stocks. That is a beautiful chart, though. I do like it. Do I trust it? Absolutely not. Do I like it? Sure. So I do like it, but not as a company. I like it as a speculative trade, not an investment, ever, ever, ever. Let me just go ahead and mark that really quick as well. Okay. Oh, the first stock got infected. That sucks. I'm sorry. We blame Patrick. Is he in here? He's now responsible for all doctors. I don't see him in here. Okay. A little short squeeze. I mean, it's got a flow to 63.5 million. I mean, and they still have, you know, 23 million restricted shares. So I don't buy into it. I think there's a lot of volume and a lot of directional hype, but I haven't seen the shorts participate. And I think once we do, we're probably going to see some more blood on this one. Oh, yeah, alarm clock. How you doing? Morning. Rise and shine. Okay. That just tells me I should be on my stream by now. And it's a 5-minute warning to the auction cross. Blessing says, I'm planning to go 10C for SPX. What do you say, zero day TE? I mean, you still have 10 minutes till market open. So I don't know what your plan is. But I do know that we've seen a little bit of sell-off. Just a little bit. It's literally 15 cents down overall, you know, from yesterday's close. So personally, you know, I'm waiting for a little bit more bearishness in SPY. SPY and SPX. Obviously, it just wants to do what it wants to do. But if we draw it out, right, my favorite strategy here is just looking for areas where we see massive moves away from and then plotting them out. And that is kind of my bread and butter. You know, that's just kind of I don't want to say brain dead strategy, but it's a high potential strategy. So we'll see. So that's kind of the range I've been watching on SPY, but we'll see. I mean, I don't assume SPY is going to come down to the low sixes anytime soon, but it might come down, you know, maybe 650, 660, something like that. So we'll see. I don't like to look for super wide ranges on SPY. It's nice when it happens, but we don't want to put our livelihoods into that. Also, I gotta move my Discord like over. It's too big, too far over there on my screen. So I'm always like looking at my window when I try to read you guys' chat messages. All right. Yeah, it's a Tuesday morning. I mean, the market's been a little bit crazy. We'll see. Plus, we had the Asana outages yesterday, and that kind of knocked out. It's like I don't want to say the whole internet, but it was a pretty wide blackout for a lot of services yesterday. So we'll see. Just retail brokers, not like obviously the exchange itself was still there. We still had plenty of volume in the market. I talked about all this yesterday in premium. But we got to be careful when it comes to the truth that we accept when it comes to the market. So for today, just kind of looking around, it's one of those days, right? You know, we see this pretty frequently in this kind of market this season. I don't see a lot of these, if any, really, that have a higher than 1-to-1 volume to market cap ratio. And what that means is that the volume column here needs to be bigger than the market cap ratio. And the reason for that is because I want the volume to outperform the relationship that it has with the share price so that I can see that there's an abnormal level of strength in that stock. So I don't see that here. This one right here, YDKJs, I think that's a garbage Chinese company. Let me take a look here if it's the right one I'm thinking of. Nope, it's an American company. That's weird. Web3, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I was thinking of it. What company am I thinking of? Either way, This one has a good volume to market cap ratio, but it's a 5-cent stock, which means that the share price is simply too low, which is keeping the market cap very, very low. So that's not, that doesn't quite pass the test, but it's good volume. It's 179 million compared to 6.92 million market cap. But that's because of the share price. So I can't really use that as a reliable pass. So we're going to hold off on that one, or I am. You guys can do whatever you want. This one right here, VSEE, it's got a 13.33 million volume, 8.31 million market cap. The challenge there is that it's a sub-dollar stock. So I want to see it above $1 ideally. And I want to see it below like $20, right? So like $2 to $20 is typically the golden range for share prices. But then I really want to see the volume to market cap ratio exceed 1-to-1. So I think the best candidate so far is probably going to be these top two, BYND and NERV. But they've got to do stuff, right? So if I look at NERV here in the 2-minute, you can see that I've got the hallmark setup that I like. And that is just a tiny candle leading into an abnormally larger candle that's bigger than all its peers. And then what I like to do is wait for the price to revisit that zone and then leave that zone with some strength. And then I take my entry off of that. And then that's when we typically see a lot of these bigger runs. So you guys can trade however you want, but that's all I'm going to be looking for today. Same thing with BYND. I've got this candle right here. You guys can't see it because the crosshair. But this guy right here led into this guy. So if the price comes back down into this range, I'll look for a breakout. We are now in auction cross as well. So this is typically when we see a good amount of volume surge into market open. But it's one of those weird mornings where the market volume is just kind of low, pre-market. It's I don't really see any spectacular swaths of volume here. So we got to just be a little bit patient today. Almost feels like a Friday morning. Blessing 650 today. I mean, crypto down, but earning time. If crypto going up, then we might see all-time high today. We don't know. Our job is not to predict. We have to break the mindset of trying to predict and having biases, because that is what destroys traders. My job is simply to have a plan. So if I look at SPY, okay, on the daily time frame, for example, I could say, okay, well, I've got this area of high potential. We're in the area of high potential. What can we do with that, right? If my goal is to look in the same direction as the initial sell-off out of that zone, the initial move out of that zone, and I want to move it to the downside, then I need to have a plan for the upside as well. And also, because it's SPY, and if I'm trading short expirations, I need to have a plan for sideways as well, because that's going to cause those contracts to decay. They're going to erode, and then I'm going to lose money. So I want to keep things nice and tight. So then I go down to a lower time frame, like the 5, 15-minute, maybe the 2-minute. I like the 2-minute personally. And then I can say, okay, well, where's my specific entry, right? So I can say, all right, well, if I'm just looking at these candles, let's just pretend the market's been open for a little while. I could say, all right, well, I've got this candle here, but the candle before it has a kind of a wide range, and it's not really that big compared to its peers. So I don't really like that. Same here. It's not really a displacement, right? But I do kind of like this guy. This is a smaller candle, and it's got a bigger red candle coming out of it. My overall direction that I'd like to see a trade is to the downside. So this gives me a much tighter range to look in terms of a move to the upside, and then a confirmation to the downside. And then I've got this stop loss right up here if I need to stop out. And that's a much tighter range, so the loss will be smaller than if I were to trade on this time frame, because then my stop loss would have to be up here, at the all-time high, because the candle that formed the breakout candle there happens to be the high. So can't do that. So we got to be careful, and we got to have a plan before we go into stuff that doesn't rely on, what happens if I'm right. The goal should be to figure out what happens if you're wrong, and then making that as small as possible. Does that make sense? Also, what's up, Charlie? Good morning. If you just go into the market every day and try to predict, you're going to have a bad time. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to end well. And you're not going to be in the market for very long unless you want to keep depositing your paychecks. So I'm here to help you guys hopefully break that cycle. And it all starts with just acknowledging that predictions don't work. I don't care what you see on YouTube, and I'm sure a lot of big YouTube personalities that are, have a lot of interest in selling you expensive products are going to come after me for saying it. But let's see the data. I'll say what I say, but I want you guys to always collect the data and scrutinize everything. So if they can't prove it without editing videos and all that, it's your choice whether or not you trust it. But prediction doesn't work. I'll go toe to toe with anyone on that. And that's for your benefit. I'm not saying that to make anyone feel bad or feel like their skill set doesn't matter. Sometimes people recognize things in the market, like the visual stuff, and they just can't articulate it, but that's not predicting. There's a difference there. Looks like YDKG is trying to look for a breakout here, but again, it's a 5-cent stock. I'm not going to look at anything like that today. But you can see also, we got a couple of those indicators here. So we got this one, we got this one, we got this one, and I don't really see any to the downside just yet. Maybe this guy, maybe. That's pre-market, so the volume's garbage, but we'll just have to wait and see. We'll see if these levels get respected, and you guys watch me do this all the time, and you can see we come back a couple of days later sometimes, and the levels are still bounced around. Now these are garbage. They're in between levels. They're very close together. So not something I personally like. All right, market is about to open here in 20 seconds. I'm going to keep it pretty light today. I might do like 2 or 3 BYND shares if I get what I like. And I might do like 1 NERV shares. I'm only going to use like $10 today. It's a smaller account. I took an SPX loss yesterday. So I don't want to, plus I'm holding this BYRN share here. So I don't want to go too crazy. All right, market is open, which means I'm going to lose my my top gainers list for a little bit, and that's okay. And if these just take off at market open, that's fine too. I don't care, because what that does is it gives me one of these candles that I can then mark as a range. So don't fall for that. All right, BYRND. Yeah, BYND has fallen into the box. Now, I would like to see, right, here's how I trade these. I've got a candle that closes right here above the zone. Or I'm sorry, the high is above the zone. This candle pushed into the zone, which is what I like. Now I've got 2 choices. I can take an aggressive entry when it pops out of the zone and use that as my entry threshold, or I can put a line above the high of the candle that broke into the zone, and then when that candle high gets broken, then I can look for an entry there. Now, the drawback here is that there is bearish strength pushing into a zone, so I need to wait and see that it's being defended by the institutions. And if it's not, we'll see what we see right now, where the price just kind of pushes through it. So that's why we wait. You always want to wait for confirmation if you want a safer entry. So we'll just hang out and see what we get. And this level will stay. It's going to stay good for the whole time. It doesn't matter 4 days later. It can come back and I'll look at that same level. But for right now, all we're seeing is a lack of bullish strength. So I got to wait. Now, the argument can be made that there's also a range right here and right here, but this is going to be the dominant range, if any. Now, I'm not going to use it. So if the price wants to push down through that, that's fine too. But that is also, let me enable that. But that would be the argument there for the next, level of defense. But I don't like this level. It just doesn't have what I'm looking for. This one does. It's got a big juicy move to the upside, and then it's got a lot of participation up here. So this is going to be the better level. So now, and again, this is the only level I care about right now. This break out of this range and then break over whatever lower highs form. Otherwise, there's no entry, and that's cool. It's a self-working system. If the price just wants to go down, it can just go down, and that's okay. So basically, every new candle that forms going into this box, I just move this line down to the high of that candle. And then when that breaks, that would be the entry. So let's just see if that's going to happen for us today. That's a good chunk of strength there so far. Okay, so I'm only going to do like 1 share at a time here. I want to just walk you guys through a couple examples of this. I'm also just going to shop around a little bit here. That halted. That was ATMV. It just kind of popped up out of nowhere. 2 million volume and it halted. All right, so in about a minute, if this candle closes, then I can move this line down to here. Otherwise, if it breaks over 232, that's when I'll look for an entry. So now, if I wanted to, I could do a buy stop order at 233. And then I just move that level down as each new high forms. Okay. That's the easy part. That's just getting in. Now, getting out is always going to be the challenge, because then you have to worry about, take profit versus stop loss. What are the ranges on both? What are your criteria for exit on both? And then you get all these little factors that come into play. So typically, just for those who might not be on my streams, if I'm looking for an entry like this, then I have multiple shares, then I would look for an immediate take profit for most of my shares around 6%, 5 or 6%, just to lock in the bulk of the shares, guarantee a net profit. Now, since I only have one share, and this might potentially halt here if it doesn't, it's not quite fast enough, I wouldn't say. But since I just have the one share, I'll probably just lock it in right at 6%, which means I could set an order and walk away. I could set a bracket order, right? So we've got a high here. Do we have a higher pre-market high? I don't believe we do. Yeah, we don't. So I'm shooting for that plus a little bit. So I'll probably look to take my profit over 250. Now also 75% of new highs fail, but I do like the amount of strength that we're approaching this with, so I'm pretty confident in holding it through it. So it's just kind of a judgment call at that point. And you can always take your profits sooner. The goal is to just spend as much time in profit-taking territory and a lot less of it in drawdown territory. Because remember, hang on. Because remember, we look for three things, right? We want the price to be going in the direction that makes us money when we get in. We use the continuation in that direction to justify staying in, and then we get out when it stops doing the thing that makes us money. Right? Here's NERV. Now, again, I don't think I'm going to be trading this one. It's not giving me what I want. ATMB is halted. YDKG is, look at that. It's respecting that zone pretty nicely. And that's the kind of move I'm looking for. That's the exact same kind of move we had back here. And that's why I like these ranges. So we'll see. Looks like BYND is still kind of hovering a little bit. Getting a nice little back and forth here, which is good. And then, yeah, we'll see if it wants to go. It could just as easily putter around and move to the downside as well. I'm not going to fight. I can't be right all the time. I just have to be prepared. So we'll see where that wants to go. Does the strategy make sense so far? That's the one I teach all the time on the free premium and lifetime live streams. Lifetime, we tend to focus a little bit more on a little more advanced topics, as well as other financial topics instead of just shapes and colors on the chart. Premium, we tend to focus more on strategy and position sizing. And then here in the free, I just teach the basics, which is just the shapes and colors part, and then a basic position management stuff. And then top is obviously slamming his scalps. Look at this guy, IBIO. That's nice. Ooh, okay. I see where you're going with that. So you got this range right here. Boom, look at that pop. Good call out, top. That's why you're the man. Beautiful. So let's look up here. That's nice, man. Good stuff. I love this stock. This stock is always going to be one of my favorites. Now that's probably going to halt. It's a 10+% move right there within a minute. You get over 1 million volume. It's not, but you got the greater than market open volume. That's probably going to halt. Yeah, if it keeps jumping like that, you're in halt city. Whew. Be careful, man. Good catch, though. That was a nice, beautiful breakout, sir. So I'm not going to chase it, but that was a beautiful, beautiful surge in volume there, buddy. Top is an absolute animal. I love it. So now you're looking at a 22% candle. I don't know how this thing didn't halt yet. The closing price was less than $3 yesterday's session. It was less than $1 even. That should be halted. That is insane. So you've got abnormal volume plus abnormal price action. That should have been way more than enough to trigger a circuit breaker on that. That is insane. Look at that volume. 3.5 million volume on a $1.34 stock. Absolute insanity. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a range. And that's it. If we want to come back, but now there's obviously the retrace, right? People are going to be looking for a retrace. And that's going to be from here to here, 126 down to 121. But we know better, right? We're going to be a little bit more patient than that because it's a garbage stock, okay? So we'll wait and see. Otherwise, it'll give us another candle with another impulse above our old range, and then we can just keep moving that range up. And we'll see. Let me just pop back over here to BYND. It's getting a little bit of chop here. So not happy with the absorption, but we'll have to wait and see what it gives us. NERV is pushing up over 7, but it can't quite break and hold over 7. So a lot of potential on this one. Let me expand this back out. I do like the order book. It's got a bunch of little zone recovery fellas on it, but I don't see my time in sales, so that's a problem. Slightly problematic. Looks like ATMB is halted again. Jeez. All right, there we go. So I can see my time in sales on BYND, so that's probably the one I'm going to be focused on. Here's IBIO again. It's just kind of hanging out, which is expected. All right, let's see what BYND wants to do here. Now, if this pushes all the way down and it gives us a big red candle, I can draw another range right here because this one can. Never mind. I was going to say because I could draw this range right here. I would say it's an acceptable range, and then a breakout over that specifically should give us another pop. So I might add one more share down in this box on the way out, but we'll see. It's pretty close to my original share. I don't want to really double up in one area. Is my Weeble still acting all AWS crash again? A little bit. There's some delays here and there. Like NERV, for example, I can't see the time in sales. Takes a minute for it to pop up. ATMB, I can't see any at all. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so it's getting better, but I was looking at this one specifically to see when it was going to unhalt. So the last share was 937.21, so 942.21 should be the unhalt on that one. So I'll keep an eye on that. So 942.21, we'll check back on ATMB. Here's NERV with the push. So that also tells me I can draw my range. I'm telling you guys, these little stupid boxes are a game changer. It's just a matter of having like enough patience and discipline to not want to just be in these big moves as soon as they start. That's what gets most traders off guard, is they see something like this and they're like, I'm going to get in. And then, and that's fueled. Oh, there goes my top gainers in this list. That's awesome. That's fueled by, big moves like on IBIO, which is great, but there's always other opportunities that you can catch. You don't have to catch the same exact move that you happen to be looking at. Yeah, mine's being weird. I don't know what's going on. Maybe AWS went out again. So that's a 27% candle right there, 27.5% on NERV. I don't know how that didn't halt. I'm sure it just did, but that should have halted way sooner. No, we're just not going to halt today. All right, I like it. It's the market I want to be in. So that was 4.5 million volume, which is greater than market open volume on the #1 runner of the day. And it's a 27% candle and it didn't halt. So I think the exchange might be having issues. I'm just kidding. But that'd be funny if they did. That's so bad. I mean, if I get the memo that halts aren't working, I'm down. New noises. Oh, for the Halloween. Are you talking about the Discord noises and for their seasonal thing? Yeah, Charlie, like a lot of the data's there, but obviously like my top gainers and losers list is gone, and I don't trust Weeble. So it's not fully back yet. Maybe 80-90%, but it's not all back yet. Okay, yeah, I try to avoid the seasonal ones for the Discord noises. It just gets weird. Don't like that. All right, I'm just going to come down here to the 1 minute, obviously not for any spectacular purpose here. I just want to look at the range just to see if we can get a little bit more insight into what move we're looking for. I'm going to consider buying away. I'm going to add one more here. So I'm putting my buys a little bit close together, which I don't typically do, but they're cheap, so I'm okay with it. And I'm really just looking for a blast over 250. So we'll see. Let me zoom in and make it super dramatic like we do. There we go. And you guys can watch the little tiny candle get bigger and stronger, and he goes to school and does all his homework and he makes his bed. I'm just kidding. It's probably not gonna go anywhere because I'm watching it. That's how it goes. It's the Michigan J Frog of candles. But we could still watch. Yeah, so we don't really, let me see. Actually, yeah, let me zoom out because that's weird. I don't want to be a weirdo. So let me kick it back up to the 2 minute here. So ATMV unhalted straight to the downside. That's why I don't like those. Even if it went to the upside, I don't like when things chain halt like that because it's very difficult to get filled on your orders. Just check BYND. That's down there. IBIO is right back in our box, right? I might grab one of these on the way back up. So for this one, I might just catch a break out of the box. Obviously, high risk. Don't ever copy me. But I'm going to grab one share here just for funsies. Just a little funsy onesie. And then, yeah, and that's it. And then we'll look at VSEE. It's trying to break out. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to break over this, right? Because we got that bigger move there. If it can break over that level, maybe a little retest situation there, that'd be ideal. But we'll see. You know, in theory, this should just spin the price. It should just accelerate it through the upside. We shouldn't even come back for a retest. But we have to see what the market gives us. We shall see. Yeah, you're looking for a higher entry, which is good. It just has to clear this zone, and then it should have no problems. In theory, right? All right, let's peek back over here. IBIO is getting a little bit of juice on it. BYND's down in the box, which is good. We're right back where we were, and that's okay. But we'll see. Kind of what I don't want to happen on this one is for it to come down to this orange box. I don't want that. I just want it to blast out of this one, and I believe there's enough volume for it to do that. It's just a matter of them committing and letting it go. Like IBIO, it's just a very quick test of the box, and then it's off. That's kind of what I like to see. I don't want to see it hang out. And again, we're up, 5.5%, 6% on this one. That right there, that could have been the easy take profit if I wanted to. I trade a little bit more aggressively. I have a little bit higher risk tolerance. That's why I don't want you guys copying me, trade for trade. But if you're just looking for achievable, relatively consistent profits, like that 4 to 6% sweet spot is going to be pretty common on a lot of these stocks. So Top and I just happen to have bigger profit ranges than a lot of the ones that go. Let's take a peek here. Yeah, VSE definitely reacting to this zone. So this zone is like a big electromagnet, and it's just been hooked up to a car battery. So the price should just repel in one direction or the other. It should just repel. There it goes. Looks like it's going the other way. And that's okay, right? That's why we wait for the confirmation. That way we're not having to combat ourselves like, oh, was I right or was I wrong? Because when you say you're wrong, you blame yourself for being wrong. And there's a consequence attached, which is you lose money. And that's not something a lot of people have the psychology for, because it takes practice and reframing to get to the point where you can not blame yourself, but still hold yourself accountable. And that's what makes you a successful trader. But if you're just relying on being right, then your identity is too deep in the mix, and it's going to be a very hard time for you in the market. So far this zone's holding, which is good. We saw juice out of it 2 times so far. Just waiting to see if it's going to hold up and then release for a third time, ideally, but we'll have to wait and see what it gives us. And then IBIO is kind of buttering on a little bit, but it's given us our good juice here so far. Now this is a retrace, obviously. Remember, if I draw the retrace zone here, that's the 50 to 61.8 zone that I drew right there. So not a huge trade, but a relatively easy one, I would say, for just cheap, consistent profits. But again, waiting for that confirmation is key on those. And these almost always fail. I don't want anyone to believe that fibs are always new highs and things like that. Usually what happens is they go to about 11.8%. So I'm going to lock my profit here on this one at about 142. So I'm going to set my sell order here. And I'm going to set my sell order here at 142. And then I can close this and walk away. Does that make sense? I'm not going to have to push for a new high. Oh, looks like we got some sell-off here on BYND. So it looks like it wants to come down here. That's okay, right? That's why we keep a little extra cash. Kind of a bummer. I can't talk today. But that's okay. It was expected. And now I can move the average down and then reduce at break even if I have to. But I don't want to go anywhere below the box. If I go below the box, I'm not going to be adding any more. I'll just take the hit on the 2 shares that I have and I'll move on. And then what's up with VSEE? It's still right in the same spot. So it's just kind of hanging out. Oh, my Weeble's getting laggy again. Ooh, don't like that. Don't like that at all. All right. So again, BYND is right back here where it was before. So this is not new data. If it wants to come down and actually test this box, then I'll consider adding more on the way up. If it doesn't touch the box, I'm not going to add any more because I'm still relatively near where I put my money. If it breaks below the box, I'll just stop out and I'll take the hit and I'll move on. Okay. So right now it hasn't touched the box, so I don't have any temptation to push a button basically because I don't want to push a button here and then have the price come down here where I originally planned it to, and then not have the opportunity to really lower that average because I jumped the gun. Okay. And if it goes up from here, I'm not going to beat myself up over missing the dip, quote unquote. What this is bearish strength. So I don't want to commit into that. I want to wait for it to stop and then wait for the bulls to respond. And then that's when I place my buy. So now it's touching the box. So now I can get ready to actually place a buy. Give me 1 second, by the way. Let's get to see something. Yeah. All right. So now I can use my process here. I can look for the highs to get lower and lower on these candles. And then I can place my buy on a breakup. Okay. And that's probably the only quote unquote safe way to build down a position. You don't want to just buy stuff because it's pushing down. You really want to wait until it, see a candle push into a zone that you like. Wait till that candle closes and then wait for the high of that candle to break on the way back up. Or some similar strategy, look for MA cross up, whatever it is that you like. But waiting until you see a sign that the strength is back in the direction that's going to make you money. So right now, let me just make this, let me make that darker. And at this point, I'm looking to place a buy as soon as it breaks into this box right here, which is 215. So let me see if I can place a buy stop. I don't know if I'll be able to, if it's going to, yeah, 215. Okay. So I'm going to place a 1 share entry at 215. And then if the price pushes up, I'll get filled. If the price pushes down, I'll have a new lower high. And then I can follow the price down with my buy stop. So I got about 1.5 minutes on that. Let's check back here on VSE. Ooh, nice. Look at that. Look at that. Nice little pop out of that box. Not a huge one, but bigger than all the other candles around it. And that's what I like to see. So I'm going to erase these lines. We're still looking for a retest, but it's enough to show that zone had some juice to it. And there it goes. Good stuff, Top. It's always good at finding these setups. I like it. Now he's using a completely different approach, by the way. He's not using these little compression and release candles. He's using something completely top oriented. It's just not the same. All right, looks like I got filled on BYND for that one share. So now I've got 3 shares. I can reduce my position size at or above my break even if I want to. But again, I have high risk tolerance, so I'm probably going to hold it a little bit longer, and we'll see where it goes. But you can see the box that we drew has potential, right? The price, if you just looked at it from there to there, right? The box has potential, and that's all I need. And if it wants to go up higher, it can. If not, that's okay too, right? The SEE, yeah, look at it go. That's a beautiful setup, sir. Okay, so it looks like it wants to, I'm just going to draw some lines here on these highs. Obviously, I'm not trading VSEE, but it's got some pre-market high business that it's kind of running into. Now, the argument could be made here that this range is what needs to be broken, and that it should displace one way or the other from above or below. But this range is pretty wide, so I don't necessarily agree with that perspective. I think there's a tighter range inside of there. So let's look at that, and we'll see if we can kind of refine that zone a little bit. But yeah, I would say even like right here, I would shrink it down to that. That looks pretty reasonable. And you can see the levels a little bit better respected. So yeah, I would say if you can clear over that, great. If not, you're probably coming back down to here. So that's the easy range. You know, you're going to be looking for moves. Oops, that's the wrong tool. So this is the zone recovery, right? You're going to be doing that, and then eventually it's either going to break to the upside or the downside, right? And then you got these ranges here to accelerate it if it pops over those on the pre-market highs. So nice and easy peasy setup there. I like it. All right, looks like IBIO is struggling a little bit here, and that's okay. It's just coming back down to this orange box. Let me just get rid of this sell order as well. I'll add one more share to this if and only if it comes back to my box and then does the same exact thing, in that it shows me a confirmation that I like, and then it pushes. So if it's here, I don't care. That's not a big deal. I really want to see it come down, test the box, and then leave the box with strength. That's what I want to see. Oh, wow, look at that. All right, so VSCE is pushing back up into the yellow box so far, having a little bit of trouble getting out of it, but it's got a lot of strength. I was going to say it shouldn't take much. There you go. Now you're at a new high. And anywhere above here basically is where I'd be looking to lock in some of those profits if I was in this one. But again, I'm not in it, so I'm not going to sit here, oh, look at my profits, because that's not, I hate when people do that on social media. Sorry, I saw a vehicle outside. It was weird. So yeah, good stuff, Top. Great setup, man. Beautiful. All right. Does this one want to come down anymore? Or is it hanging out and wants to push back up? Huh. Is everyone set for Halloween, by the way? It's next Friday, so if you don't have your costume, you might want to get on that. Is anybody not doing it? Well, let me ask that question. Is anybody not doing anything for Halloween next Friday? If so, put a 1 in the chat. If you're doing stuff for Halloween, put a 2 in the chat. Porter's going to go as Breckle. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. You hope you are. Okay. Fergie and Stickman say 1. Junjun says 2. Steve from Minecraft. Okay. Is that or Blue's Clues, right? All right. So again, the IBIO is in between, right? So there's no reason for me to take an action here. I don't care that I'm seeing a little bit of bullishness after a lot of red. I'd like to see it come down here and test this box before I consider buying anymore. Charlie says, did hear. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. Oh, you didn't hear. Okay. No worries. I just said if you're not doing anything for Halloween, put a 1 in the chat. If you are doing stuff for Halloween, put a 2 in the chat. I kind of made them backwards. Normally we do the agree as 1 and disagree as 2, but I like to mix it up a little bit. Keep you on your toes. Takak says, I do scary clowns and chase people and go trick or treat with kids. That's awesome. You gotta mix it up. Put the fear of God back in people. It's when you do it the day after Halloween that you really get the best effect. And they're out there trying to clean up their yard, and then you just show up with a chainsaw. Ding, 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 ding. Nobody expects it. Pookie, what are you going to do for Halloween? I'm probably just going to hand out candy and candle pattern flashcards. I don't know. The wife is taking the kids out, or maybe just the youngest one. And I think I'm going to stay home and hand out candy. I'm supposed to throw eggs at other houses, right? Do I have to leave my house? Kidding. For any cops in the chat, that was a joke. It's a citation. It's fine. You had a delivery service as a scary clown? I like themes. Oh, that's right, Charlie. The cost of eggs. Halloween's the most expensive holiday because of eggs. I'm just going to throw rocks down. They're free. It's free real estate. Mr. OG22, I bought a custom super authentic Michael Myers mask and I go scare kids all weekend. That's the way to do it, man. You had to pay a driver. That's awesome. Charlie's going all Cain and Abel on people. If you get it just right, the candy is yours. I think that's the rule. Best 350 ever spent? I bet, man. I hope it came with the overalls and everything. All right, looks like BSCE has not updated on my chart. What is going on? Weeble chart, come on. There we go. I was going to say, it's definitely pulled back. I don't know why it's still showing up there. This is why I don't trust Weeble, guys. Not on a day like today. I just don't trust it. Having previously from the Navy. Yeah, I bet. I'm telling you, man, those work uniforms, even in the Army, dude, they're solid. Change your whole life. Anytime I have to work on a car, bam, Dickies. Every time. I feel like a little kid just running around in like pajama onesies, but I can just do whatever. It's fun. It's hard to explain. Yeah, the Michael Myers is William Shatner's. There's a little bit of a history to it. I think it's because they ran out of the idea, or they ran out of something at the last minute. Had to just go get a mask, and then they ended up taking a shortcut, and that became Michael Myers. Can't remember the exact story, but I know it was like a last minute thing. But William Shatner can be scary. The man can't be stopped. All right. So again, we're kind of reacting to the zone a little bit on BYND. It's just a matter of when the volume comes in. So we're starting to see slightly increasing volume here. And we're starting to see a little bit of bullish action here, but it just has to get through this. Let me recolor this zone here. I made it darker, but there we go. That's kind of the area we got to push through. So we're kind of between two magnets now. So whichever magnet gets bigger, stronger, and angrier will get the win. Charlie says, same special effects studio, and the Inside Out mask was like drawing from being clean when they went for Michael Myers mask. Neat little story. Yeah, it was something. I remember it was something short notice. So that's, I think you're right. It does sound familiar. This mask is a remake of the first movie when even has alpaca hair as hair, so you can style it. That's awesome. I bet the alpaca never saw that coming when it was like a little baby alpaca in kindergarten. They were like, what do you see yourself doing as you grow up? It's like, I want to get turned into a Michael Myers mask so I could scare human children. It's a very educated alpaca. He had a well-established home life. A lot of resources. That's kind of what I want to do with my dog. I got that's the wife's dog. It's a little rat, but it's a Brussels Griffon, and it's just fuzz everywhere. It literally looks like an Ewok. Let me get you guys a picture real fast. Oh, it's so bad. There it is. That's the Ewok. Never stay still. But yeah, the face literally it's a little Ewok. And I want to get it the little hood and a spear. It already has the face. Maybe run that around and then scold people for giving chocolate to a dog. I think it'll be good. It'll have an impact on them for Halloween. All right, so we're kind of watching paint dry at the moment. It's just how things go in the market. Sometimes, after that first half hour, things kind of, I don't want to say they stagnate, but they definitely slow down a little bit. All right, you can see here VSEE is kind of doing a little bit of a sell-off. It's just pulling back. It's not it wants to exist between these two zones. It becomes a little bit of a custody dispute between these two zones because when the volume ebbs out, price wants to hug these magnets. It wants to stay at these zones. And then when the price comes in, it wants to repel and it wants to move away from the zones. It's like a teenager when they're home. Like when there's nothing going on at home, they want to stay. They want to just stay in their room. And then when people come over, they look for all sorts of reasons to leave. They just don't want to be home. So the need to escape is tremendous. And that's how price action works. When there's low volume, it wants to just hide in its room and stay put. When there's high volume, it just wants to zip on out of there. So, and that's it. So all we do is just catch price in areas of high potential when the volume comes in, and then it erupts ideally in the direction we want it to go. So in this case, it's gone down instead, and it's just kind of, the volume's kind of inconsistent. Sorry. The zones are still valid. It's just a matter of waiting for the confirmations to come in and blast the price out there. So we're in the right neighborhood. It's just a matter of getting the right house and knocking on the door at the right time. That is cool. That's awesome. There we go. Maybe I'll just keep this up when I stream on Halloween on Friday morning. That'll be it. That's really good. Maybe I guess I could put that on TradingView, right? I could put the image on the chart. Or I can make it, can I make it transparent on there? Either way, I'm stealing it. Yeah, the watermark. Stealing this picture. It's perfect. I also think we might have the same exact. No, we don't. It's different. I was going to say this. This here in the background, it looks very similar to mine. That was crazy. You move it around the house and scare the kids away. Do you ever put it outside a second-story window? Like outside, like the bathroom window, and just have it sitting there, just waiting, or inside the shower, like so they move the curtain open. You got to put it above the shower head if you're going to do that, or like in the back of the shower so they don't see it. and then they see it. it gets interesting. I don't typically mess with showers because I don't want people like falling or anything like that. But you know, bathroom window, it's good. Or in a closet just above the door. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I like that mask. Oh, I got to make a, maybe I'll make like an AI filter, like a dress as Austin on my live stream on Friday. I'll have it cover up my, like it'll change my appearance. I think that'll be pretty fun. Spent over $100 on the crusty mask. You can't see or hear in it. And the red one is my runner. I shed that one every year. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. I like that. I like that it's slow loading too. That's perfect. There we go. I like this one. I think this is a classic. Zoom in a little bit. Sorry if anyone has a fear of clowns, but also not sorry. It's exposure therapy. Yeah, IBO is pushing a little bit here. Oh, you know what? I just realized I feel bad because if I put Weeble on top of everything else and then somebody joins the stream and then I come back here, that's just going to pop up and scare them. So I could do like that. You know? I think we got a plan. Let's do it on Halloween though. I don't want to be responsible for anyone going to the hospital. Just look at it in like mid-sentence and then just not say anything. Yeah, exactly. Link what in? I mean, I could, you know, I could just do that and then just tab it out. Bam. That would probably mess somebody up. So I'm going to stop doing that because I don't want to get like in trouble. Maybe I'll plan something for the Halloween stream. I don't know. I got two of them. I got the market open in premium, and then I got the rags to riches. But that one's a little later in the morning, so I don't know about that one. We'll figure something out. We'll make do. All right, so we're currently watching paint dry. Now, if I didn't have my zones already drawn on IBIO, I would ridiculously and enthusiastically point out that we've got this, okay, based on this candle leading into this, and then we've got this based on this candle leading into this. So we've got this clear zone right here that is interesting. So this is good. I like when this forms because you can see all these little zone recovery algos sitting on this chain. They're looking for a pretty big chain fill. And so am I now. So that's good. Let me just draw my line at 150. Oops, that's the wrong button. All right, so this is gearing up for a pretty big move in my opinion. Doesn't mean jump in, it just means that we can watch it and wait for the actual move. Can I explain chain fill? Yeah. So let me just start at the beginning, right? Because people are incorrectly taught that price moves when more buyers step in and there's fewer sellers and there's some sort of imbalance that's created. And that is not true because everything you see here on the time and sales, every transaction in the market requires a buyer and a seller. So there's the exact same number of buyers and sellers in every transaction. So I hate when people blindly believe this because they just don't know any better. It's not their fault, but I hate that that gets cemented in so much because it creates so much misunderstanding in the market. So what you're seeing here in the order book is pending orders that aren't filled yet. It's limit orders or buy stops or some other on the ask side specifically. On the bid side, that's stop losses and limit buy orders and so on and so forth. So what you're seeing here is orders that haven't been filled yet. And what you're seeing down here in the time and sales is orders that are filled and are real. Okay, so these are not real They're not real yet. They're just pending. And these orders down here are absolutely real, and they're done. They're processed already. Okay. So when you see a big wall like this at 135, you can see there's 24,587 units at this price. So that means that 487 now shares worth of orders are set here at 135. And this is a pending wall. It's just a big block of orders that isn't filled yet. And it might be one or many brokers that have just set or institutions, I should say, that just set these orders on here in an attempt to manipulate the price, because they say, okay, well, if I see someone bigger participating here at 135, I'm not going to sell until 135. So that takes quote unquote sellers out of the mix. It takes the ask pressure out of the mix. And then it allows those brokers or those institutions to just fill other orders that don't sit so far out on the ask price, so that they can get filled and move the price. So blah, 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 right? Price moves up and down based on which side has leverage over the bid and ask. So when bank A wants to move the price up, they'll place an order on the ask. The ask order will then reach across the ask and grab something from the bid, and it will fill it. And since this is the active order, the aggressive order, that's what moves the price up, because it pulls the price up since it was an ask leveraged fill. Okay. So when that happens enough, you get the price to move up. And when the price moves up with enough intensity, you get these little volume threshold tests, which is just little tiny walls that get filled rapidly. That's just to make sure that there's enough pressure to move the price through it and beyond. And you always see these before these big walls. So if we watch this 135, if it wants to push up here, let me draw a level here and we can just watch that in real time. So the price will come up here, and it'll you'll have like another wall here at 133, 134. It'll be a smaller wall, and they just they get filled. We get a little bit of hovering here, a little heartbeat, and then the price will stagnate right here. And then this wall gets removed, and then you see the price jump really aggressively. And what that is that you've got these volume threshold tests. This wall then gets chewed on a little bit. It'll start going down like 21,000, 19,000, 13,000, and then it'll get pulled and split into smaller orders here. But as it's being pulled, a good chunk of them are still being filled, and you'll see the time and sales speed up. And what that is it's a series of ask orders grabbing stuff on the bid that is now, being parsed out and chopped over here. It's grabbing those orders and pulling the price up very rapidly in chain fill, right? And then you've got walls above this price. Well, it's physically below it, but it's higher in price on the ask. You can see it's, like 140 down here, 144, 145. If this wall getting filled in sequence is strong enough, it'll just drive the price to 136, 137, 138, 139, 140. And these are constantly getting filled as well, because they're grabbing stuff that's now down here that was previously on the ask, but these shuffle over to the bid, and that counts, and that just slams the price to the upside pretty rapidly. And you'll see it happen on the time and sales. And you can always just kind of record this and watch it back in slow motion if we catch one of these. But that's how it works. It's just a series of fills that happen very rapidly. And since they're all dominantly on the ask side, as the mid price moves up, everything on the ask shuffles over to the bid if it doesn't get filled. So anything that gets pulled manually or automatically and placed on the bid then gets pulled up by the other half on the ask, and it just causes massive fills in a very short amount of time. So it's a little hard to explain, but you'll see it. You'll see it like a couple of times, and then it'll make sense. So, oh yeah, look at the BSE. That's beautiful, man. Good stuff. Ooh, wee. I like that. So we obviously broke that new high. It's good stuff. And down here, right, you got another level. This is a more recent one, which is good. Which means this becomes transitory. This becomes transitory. And then this becomes your most recent springboard. There you go. Congrats. Enjoy it. It's yours. So again, if we can get, like there's a wall here at 130, right? So don't worry too much about the price action here. Just focus on the order book and the time and sales. So right now it's filling at 125, 126, 127. So we got 10,795 at 130 on the ask side. And we've got a 1,500 wall and an 1,100 wall and a 1,300 wall at 127, 128, 129. So let's watch the 127 wall. It's 1322 right now. This is a volume threshold test. 3822, 1337.72. So they added to it, got filled. 430 of it got filled. There's a bunch of fills. So you got a 5K fill there at 127. So they're definitely testing the 127 level. 422, 622, 522. So this 127 wall is being chewed down, and you can see the fills are coming through on the time and sales. You got a 1600 fill here, 200 fill there. That wall is almost depleted, and they just keep adding to it because they want to test it and make sure there's enough volume. There's not a whole bunch, but they want to just keep testing that. So once the 127 wall goes away, it's 1322, 722. Okay, 127 is gone. Now we got 128, and that had like a 5K, and that got filled. Now we're at 129. We got a 200 wall. That got filled. So now there's 11,895 at 130. So now they may throw a volume threshold test in between to make sure those 130 fills don't get slammed. So 129, there we go. Got a bunch of fills there at 129. They keep adding to it. It says 250, but you can see there's a bunch bigger orders coming through there. So let's see. Yeah, see it just, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but if it is on the recording, you can see it got a bunch of fills here at 129. Then it went to 128.1, 128.5, 128.0, 128.4, and then a couple more at 129, then 128.5, 129, and then it just went down through the 127s and 126. So this volume threshold test did not pass, which means there's not enough strength on it at the time to push through the 130 level. So they just swash the price down a little bit. And to do that, they just flush some orders through on the bid, and it pulls the price down. So that's where walls come in, basically. You just think of them like castle doors, like the big wooden gates on a castle. You know, every time it meets one of those walls, it's a battering ram. But the battering ram has to have enough force, or otherwise you're just going to break the battering ram, and then everyone's got to okay, because they're gonna respond. The castle has defenses. They're gonna use arrows. They're gonna use oil. Like, it's not going to be good to hang out there very long, and that's why you don't want to stay near a wall too long in the market. So, so right here we've got another series of small items here. Now these aren't significant here. All right, now these walls just all pop back up. So 128, 129. So let's watch these fills. And again, I'm looking for a chain fill on 130. So I just want to see a bunch of 130s. It's currently at 24,386. And when we're in range like this, 24,072, you can see there's a 4K wall at 129. I'll come back to the other concept here in a minute. It's 5107 at 129. Then you can see there's nothing of the same size over here yet. But when this 130 wall gets chewed and filled, then you'll see smaller walls appear like right here. Usually two of them, usually about the half size of what's left. So if there's like 10K left, you'll see two 5K walls. But what I was trying to say, if the price just wants to hang out down here instead of going up, is that when you have, when you're in range like that, when there's like 1 or 2 cents away and you got a big wall like this, what you can see sometimes, and this is my favorite, is you'll see outside fills, which means that the price, somebody placed an order that matched the quantity and type on the ask, and they'll fill it, and you'll see a big wave come through on the time and sales with a background color. It'll be a bright red or a bright green. And that means something reached outside the bid and ask. So right here, it's 125, 126. So if somebody puts an order in at 127 and gets filled before the 126 orders, it'll count as an outside fill. And those are much more aggressive. And when you see a big wave of those followed by a big wave of the opposing color, you typically see a big nasty run, and I love those. So haven't seen that today much, but we'll keep an eye out. Let me take a look. Oh, BYND. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's moving down a little bit. It's kind of pushing down. I might just take a hit on this one. You know, I don't want to really add any more to it just yet. And sometimes that just happens. You know, we're trading garbage, so we have to accept the garbage is what it is. So I might continue to hold it. I got to jump off here soon, but this would normally be the point where I just like, I don't really like it anymore. And that's, you know, that's the risk if you add too much. But again, that's why I just had 3 shares. You know, I don't want to go balls to the wall on a day like today when we've identified pre-market, the volume is meh, right? So we can always just cut it, move on. And if you're someone, like, there's 2 types of traders, basically. There's 2 types of brain. If you don't want to deal with drawdown at all, you don't have to, right? I add to my positions sometimes. I build them down, and you don't need to do that ever if you don't want to. You can have a 1% stop loss on all your trades. You might take more losses in frequency, but your profits, if they're bigger, and you're waiting until things are going in the direction that make you money, you should have a pretty good time, because you're not losing chunks and chunks of money. Okay. So wow, look at that. Look at top. This is going to be a dollar stock here in a minute. If it keeps going. I'm still surprised it's not halting. You're getting more and more volume. Like, this is the market open volume. It was 728,000 shares at market open. And this one here had 7.5 million. This one here has 8 million. So this should definitely be triggering a halt at some point. I'm surprised it hasn't. So somebody at the exchange is looking out for somebody. That's insanity. So congrats, Top. I don't know if you're still in that one, if you already took your profit, but that's a beautiful trade, sir. Get it till it's gone. All right, so I was really hoping we'd see a break of this 130 level. They're starting to increase the wall here at 127 on IBIO. We'll just have to wait for the volume to come back in. That last candle had like no volume. Had 103K on it. You got 25% of your shares left. Good stuff, man. That's beautiful. Congratulations. Oh, here we go. There's an outside fill right here, 126. So this is on the bid side. So we don't really like those. We want the red ones. All right, unfortunately, I do have to jump off here. Let me end the recording, the live stream. I'll hang out with you guys here in the Discord as much as I can. Let me put the put a link in the chat on social media there. Anyone who's watching this outside the Discord, if you click that link right there, we'll send you Lee's watch list every single morning for free. And we'll also send you on Wednesday night a reminder email with Lee's live stream link. He streams on Thursday mornings. He's the equity swing coach, and his strategy is a lot. It's beginner friendly. I think you'll like that, and it works on slower trades, not this garbage. It's low flow garbage. So he teaches the due diligence, all that good stuff. It's a free stream, so it's worth committing like 10-15 minutes to on Thursday morning, and I'll see you guys there. I'm gonna hang out in Discord for a little while. Let me end the stream. Thank you all for watching outside,